everyone, my name is Tori. I'm doing my video defense, and my purpose statement for my project was the children in the intervention group will improve their letter recognition skills by 50% during the 10-day assessment period. I chose to do my project about iPads and apps and letter recognition skills. So more specifically, iPads my students would be using. Apps, I chose the ABC Starfall app, and letter recognition, I coded it as knowing the 26 capital letters of the alphabet. I had 3 girls doing this project with me. I have taught all of their siblings, and I will be their teacher in the fall, so this kind of was able to be like a tutoring session or like a practice with Miss Turbov and getting them ready for preschool. So it worked out really well. I knew their parents. I knew them a little bit. So the parents signing the consent form, everything worked great. So my first step for the summary and analysis, I first did a pre-assessment, just kind of used my ABC flashcards that I did my regular assessments with, and I went through each letter at a time, all capital letters, and asked them if they could name this letter, if they could name this letter, and just kind of went off and documented on my assessment sheet. So that was their that was their baseline, which we started off as, like I said, the girls had not gone to preschool before. They, of course, learned some things at home, but they did not have any formal education yet. So they all started kind of in the same group, knew a little bit, but not a lot, were all started off roughly around the same knowledge area. I was able to see their growth and their comfortability with the iPads and their letter knowledge. They also grew their attention spans, their fine motor skills, their dominant hand got more practice. Little things like that by using the iPad that I really did not know was going to grow, did so well just doing the 10 times we met. Another thing that we noticed is that through the iPad, I was able to use the ABC Starfall app that I chose because I researched them apps for my own classroom. That app and those songs were so age appropriate, developmentally appropriate, that the preschool kids that I had, the 3 girls, learned that song in just the 10-day, 1 time a week project. So they would play for the game, the app, for 15 minutes, and then we would use the alphabet cards, and I would ask them, what letter is this? Tell me the name of this letter. What's the name of this? Tell me the name of this letter. Went through that, the same sentence, the same saying for all 26 letters, and I documented it on the assessment papers that I would just put a star next to if they got the letter correct, and then I also would write my anecdotal observations and keep them for my records. The reason why I chose this topic is because last school year I was awarded $2,000 for my classroom, and I, being a younger teacher, chose to find a new way of teaching, a new way of using an electronic device in my classroom of 3-year-olds. So I chose to spend my money on getting some iPads for my classroom. And last year I saw the growth and the improvement my students made, and I wanted to see if there could be proof there was such growth with students that didn't know their letters very well. So that's where the passion of this project came from, and me selecting my topic. My findings for ongoing professional growth is that I plan on sharing this with everybody. I am amazed my students surpassed the goal. All 3 of the girls, all the girls in the intervention group passed hugely, more than 50%. 2 of the girls knew all 26 letters of the alphabet when we were done, and another student learned 22 letters of the capital letters of the alphabet. So they surpassed the goal of 50%, and that is just by playing an iPad app that most people, think is putting your kid in front of a screen or, giving them just something to keep them occupied. So I plan on going to my principal, my fellow preschool teachers, showing them the proof that educational apps are worth it. They are something that I couldn't do. I can't swing from trees, say, be the monkey for the letter M. I can't do those things, but I can give that to my students, and I'm hoping that by me sharing this, they can see the impact iPad apps and, of course, developmentally appropriate, age-appropriate apps can do for our students. I do think that teachers need to stay up to date on the new ideas, new policies, new things like that, because as I have seen, and a lot of education is now, we are in a digital world. My students were 3, and they got practice with their fine motor, their ability to turn on the iPad, put in the password, pull up the app, just things like that are these skills that they're going to be needed for their life. And since it's 2019 and this is the way our world is going, and our education should follow suit. Another thing that I found was interesting is that I could tell as my students got more comfortable with the situation, coming to school, being in my classroom, playing with the iPad app, their attitudes were happy, they were engaged, they were excited, they wanted to hold the iPad, they were just excited to go through the process and go through the experience of playing the iPad app, but also learning at the same time. So I was very lucky that I didn't have any issues with students that didn't want to partake or parents that didn't want to partake. I think it was a good project to see from start to finish. I also was amazed that they did grow their letter recognition skills by more than 50%. They came, really, it was only 10 days that they were with me, and I let them play the app for 15 minutes. I asked them, what's the name of this letter? What's the name of this letter? And they were able to answer those questions. So obviously from this project, I learned as a teacher so much that repetition is key. If you find something engaging, something age appropriate, developmentally appropriate, something that will click in their little brains to help them want to be active learners. And this project really opened my eyes to just how important our teacher thinking is and our feelings and knowing that it's true. But also through this project, I was able to see by doing this research that iPad apps are educational and they can teach things that sometimes might have taken me longer to teach, or I don't have that fun song, I don't make those fun videos and do those fun noises. So iPads and iPad apps are definitely beneficial to our students, and I hope that everyone has a great summer. Thanks so much. Hi everyone, the one last thing that I forgot from my first video was connections to references or resources. We talked a lot about in this course of finding our students and the process of doing this research and making sure that everyone was respected, everybody was felt comfortable, the parents signed, the 3 girls, the consent forms, my students were aware of what was going on, their parents definitely were aware, they came into my classroom and knew what was expected of them. They knew that Ms. Turba of me was going to let them play the iPad for 15 minutes and they were going to do the assessment, and that was that. They were aware that it was something fun, new, and different, but also that I kept their personal information private throughout the whole process. I kept their results private, besides writing my paper, things like that, that we need to be respectful of people in our intervention groups. Another thing that we talked a lot about in this course was keeping our research and data true. I feel like a lot of it is consistency, and they knew that every time they would come into my classroom, it sometimes took a little bit more focus or time getting ready to start the app, because they wanted to chit chat and tell me about their summer vacations and their trip to the zoo and things like that. But once they really focused, I could see, once they focused and started playing the iPad, I could see them tapping to the beat. I could see them singing along. They're using their fine motor. So things from this study prove that one thing, playing an iPad app, can help other things in education. So I think this is a great resource and great tool to use in our classrooms to help our students become successful human beings, because it teaches letter recognition, fine motor, muscle control, taking turns, digital world, things that I can't teach myself, but I can give them resources and tools to use them, and it's a life skill that they will always need. So I hope everyone has a great summer. Thanks so much. Bye.